Thank you so much for watching Road to the Top. Before I introduce today's guest, there's a little story that I have to tell you. It follows up to the introduction. And what happened is that many years ago, when living in Colorado, Al and I were approached to perform in Las Vegas. Of course, we were so excited. We prepared a great show and off we went to Las Vegas. While we were performing, there was a gentleman in the audience that actually really appreciated Kung Fu and what he saw. When we were finished, he asked, could he meet Ella and I? So naturally, yes, somebody appreciated us. We wanted to meet this gentleman. Well, we had conversation. He was very nice. He didn't really say too much about himself other than that he did not live in America. And yeah, complimented us and we went our way, he went his, that was it. Well, months later, we received a letter from this gentleman and it was shocking. Inside this letter was a proposition. He wanted us to pack up, move to the other side of the world. It turned out that he was a big fitness martial art man in Germany and had schools, and he wanted to introduce Kung Fu into his school. Well, naturally, I was all excited. Yes, I want to go. I told Al, we've done so much in America. It's time to take our art to the other side of the world. So that's exactly what we did. We packed up Mark and Craig, everything we owned that we could take, and off we moved to Germany. And I'm so grateful and thankful for this man, because if it had not been for this gentleman appreciating Al and I would not have met my next guest, Emmanuel Bettencourt. Where are you, Emmanuel?
Hello,
Hey,
Smo.
there he is,
Hi.
my African son. Oh, you
Yes.
know what? I long to be able to be there, and we always go and eat and have a great conversations, but the way times are, we can't. But I appreciate Zoom because I kind of feel like, we're only things missing is the food. There you are, here I am, and this is cool. You look
Yeah.
great. How
Thank
are
you.
you? Good?
Same to you. I try to keep in shape.
Yeah, I keep in shape too. We have to
Yes,
keep in shape.
that's
It's
that's the key.
for me, life changed in March. Suddenly, I'm living a life I've never experienced before. Not in my time did I ever think I'd be living like this. And for you, I'm sure it's the same. I mean, we hear about Europe and this and that, but you're living there. Explain the situation. How is it there?
It's it's the same. It's been closed since March, and then we opened up, and then we stowed, and now we've been on lockdown since November again, and it won't ease up until end of February. And we do our best. It's not as bad as different other countries here. Germany is doing pretty good, but yeah, everyone is affected through this pandemic.
Are the malls and the shopping centers, everybody's closed?
Everything's closed. Only the food shop, the food storage.
The UBahn and all that.
Well, the UBahn is, but you have to wear masks, and yeah, the transportation is okay, but they're afraid about, because a lot of people get together in the UBahn and buses, but we have to move around, so that way it's still open.
Wow. Yeah, it's just certainly an adjustment. I've been teaching Zoom classes. How are you?
Yeah, I've been teaching Zoom classes and also teaching outside, but now it's too cold to teach outside.
Oh yeah. Actually, I must say I've never really stopped teaching. Maybe the month of March, I didn't do anything, but then I realized I could continue on teaching outside. So I teaching all my privates, no group classes, nothing group, just one-on-one at the park. So I actually do about 18 classes a week, and I really keep busy, plus my Zoom. So, everything is good. I have my friends. The only sad thing, I can't travel. The same for you.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about it. But in martial arts, we know how to fight through life.
Yeah.
So that's different.
I know. Can't travel, but I miss not seeing Mark and Craig. I didn't see them for our holidays. Every year I'm there for Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, whatever. This year, nothing. And so that was kind of sad. But anyhow, here we are, and I get to talk to my boys, so that makes me happy. And
Yes.
anyway, Emmanuel, you know, so many people, you have so many fans here in our country, a lot of
Wow.
fans. And uh, everybody always sees our correspondence on Facebook and they go, oh, you know, tell us about Emmanuel. I really can't tell about Emmanuel like Emmanuel can talk about Emmanuel. And so the first thing they always ask me is, where are you from? And I say, Cape Verde. And they say, where's that? Well, I can't give an exact description of where that's from, but you can. Where on earth is Cape Verde?
Yeah, Cape Verde is a group of islands located on the west coast of Africa, about 500 miles away from Senegal. So it's a diverse group of islands. You could compare it to Hawaii with the weather and also the diversity. We call it the Caribbean, the African Caribbean. And
Cool.
yeah.
How nice. Do you have a lot of tourism?
Yeah, actually, it's starting up now. In 2017, it was placed #1 for the place to go. So
I didn't
it's
know
picking
that.
up. Yeah.
Well, don't you miss your home country?
Yeah, I'm there all the time. You know,
Oh,
at
you go
least
back and
twice.
forth.
Yeah, I go back and forth like at least once, twice a year. I go there. Yeah,
So, how far is it by flight from Hamburg
it's
to your country?
it's about 6.5 hours from Germany. Yeah, it's not that
Ah,
bad. It's halfway to America.
wow. Well, how is it that, and why do you still have family in Cape Verde? I mean, how did
Yes.
you end up in Hamburg?
Well, Cape Verde has a tradition for sailing, and a lot of Cape Verdeans they're sailors. And my father was a sailor. And I remember when we were little, my mom got sick, and he was working for a German company. So it was an option for her to come to Germany and get treated here. So she came to be treated here, and she couldn't go back. So because we were there, they assumed the best thing is to move to Germany. So we came to Germany at least to spend some time, like vacation, and see if we can adapt it.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
out of the vacation, I was interested in learning language. So now it's 45 years
Well,
later.
well, when you left your island, you didn't know how to speak German, did you?
No, but as a little boy, I always pretend I could speak German because my father worked for a German company. So people will ask me, "Do you speak German?" And my sister will go, "Yeah, he speaks German." And I will go, "Oh, he speaks good German." It was nothing. It was no for me.
Wow. Well, how old were you when you moved to Germany?
I was 13.
Well, I know Mark and Craig, when we moved from the US to Germany, they had a horrible adjustment. They didn't like it at all. In fact, you know, Mark used to cry and Craig they would moan and groan. Uh, they thought they were going to go to an international school and I threw them in a German school. And
Yeah,
Mark would say, my bedroom is the size of a closet because he had such a big room in
yeah.
America. And oh, it was a huge adjustment. Was it that difficult for you?
Well, it was completely different. I mean, for you to move from America to Germany was just like step down a little. But for me, it was, I mean, we grew up with no television, no running water, no electricity. So it was a big adventure for us to come to Germany and experience all the new things that we didn't know about. So
Oh, yeah. Who in the
it was,
world ever think you, yeah.
yeah.
How many, did the whole family move or just you and your mother and father or?
First, it was we came step by step. It's 8 of us, so four of us came first, and the rest came after, because it was a lot of money.
Gee,
You see, we came
yeah.
one after
How many
another.
are there in your family?
We ate 4 boys and 4 girls.
Wow. Where are you on the list?
I am middle, me and my twin brother.
I
So
know
my mom,
that's something that it's, you know, I always say he cloned himself. There's two of them. There's a twin. How
yeah,
awesome. What was it like to grow up being a twin?
well, for us it was nothing special because twin runs all over the family. My mom had 3 pairs of twins.
Oh, your mom? Oh, no wonder.
You see, so for us it was normal, with to have twin. It's fun. Only around birthday and Christmas time when we had the birthday, we had to, because poor country, we had to split the present for birthday, and then you split it with your twin. So that's not too cool, but other than that, it was cool.
Wow. You
Yeah.
know, Emmanuel, when you lived in Cape Verde, did you participate in sport? Didn't you play
Uh,
soccer?
yeah, we play soccer. Before I started with martial arts, I played handball and volleyball. You see,
Aha.
and before I came to martial arts, I did a little athletics, and then I wanted to move to
I
something
see.
completely different, and that's where I started martial arts.
Well, when you moved to Germany, did you play any soccer?
Yeah, I played soccer in Germany and also handball and volleyball. And
In
then I
Germany.
didn't. Yes, I was very good in handball. Actually, I was very very
Yeah,
good.
I love handball.
But then it was just like, different country, different treatment. I didn't feel the connection with the team, so I wanted to do something
Yeah,
different.
I can understand that. You know, I know in Germany, when you go to school, it's a lot different than going to school here in America, but you had already kind of thought you knew where your direction in life was going, because you not only were my student, but at the same time, you're the student training, you're going to school and you're working. I mean, how did you manage to do all of that? Especially since like in America, a lot of the kids drive, but in Germany, you have to take the U-Bahn, and that can
Yeah.
be, that's a
Well,
big trip.
it's, back in the days, we didn't have no internet, no phones, no cells, no television. Well, television, yes, but it was just school, home, sports, home, school, outside. So I mean, we had to drive like an hour to go to school, 1 hour to go to training, but we get used to it. Back then we didn't have no choice.
I
So
mean, if you didn't get out of class on time and catch the train, I mean, you could be left at the station all night long.
oh yes, I remember one time I missed the bus and it was winter. You know when we used to wear this Afro look, and I got
Oh,
to the train station after training, and
oh,
my head was so heavy. I said I got a headache. I don't know what it is. And then I look at those little little cameras that they have in the U-Bahn, and it was like a white ball, and my
oh
my head
my
was
Lord.
frozen.
Yeah, I can remember training in class. You know, I would come out if my hair was wet and sweaty, and it would turn to ice. Ice,
Yes,
my head was like ice ball. Yeah, I remember those cold days. Oh God, I can remember having to take Tomoko home a few times because she missed the U-Bahn, and we can't leave
U-Bahn.
Tomoko standing there. We have to drive her all the way home. So it was hard. So for you to be able to work and train and go to school. But then one of the most amazing things I found out about you, and I didn't know this till we started traveling, is that you speak 7 languages. Good Lord, I
Yes.
can barely speak our language. How did that happen? I mean, how do you speak
Actually,
7 languages?
yeah, I really like to be independent. And when I start traveling, I found it always difficult to have someone translating for you. So I said, this is not right. And when I moved to Germany, I already knew how to speak Portuguese, Creole, and French. And then we have to switch over to German and English. And the more I travel, the more I had fun learning the language. And it was easy for me to learn language. I think it has something to do with the Cape Verdean language because it's so diverse that you can pick up any language and you can easily
Wow.
learn it.
But you were gifted. I mean,
Yes. It's
you were a gifted athlete, but you were also blessed by being able to learn language, because not many people are able to do that.
that's true. And then
Yeah.
English,
So,
actually,
um,
I remember when I started speaking more English was when I started training with you, because then your German wasn't that good, and my English was bad.
well, you know, Emmanuel, when I talk about you working, you worked for Lufthansa because you thought you were going to go in that direction, working for the German airline Lufthansa. You even got your pilot's license, which with there, I don't know how you found time to get those licenses up in the air, but you did. Actually, you were such a brilliant, and are you were a brilliant young man and a brilliant young older man. But what made you get pilot your pilot license?
It was when I started with Lufthansa, my dream was to become a aircraft pilot and go back to the islands and be a pilot, you know, island hopping. That was my dream. But then I started martial arts and started training, and I got to travel with Mark the first time to Hawaii. So I was just like, traveling is not that bad. So
I better stay with Lufthansa.
so I stayed with Lufthansa. My day would start like 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 in the morning. It was just like pam, 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 pam.
Oh,
You
I
see?
remember.
And at that time, when my colleagues, they start having like motorcycle license, I said, I better take my pilot license. So they went for motorcycle and I went for the piloting.
That's amazing. But you know, I used to laugh because I don't know if it was you or whoever, Mark and Craig, you know, they both love to dance, but they said you belonged to a dance troupe, that you were really an amazing Brazilian. Is that so?
Well, actually, it was just like a hobby, you know. Every now and then, Brazilian dance was very popular at the time. They had lambada that was very
Oh,
popular.
yes, I remember
And
that dance.
yeah, there was a dance group. They always ask me, and we know how. I mean, in Cape Verde, the kids dance naturally, like in the Caribbean, you
That
know.
was a,
So
a sensual dance.
yes, so they will ask me, and I would just say, "Yeah, no problem. I have this weekend free. I can dance for you." So I would perform. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, do you still dance?
Well, not as I used to, but
You've
yes.
slowed down in your older years. Yeah.
Well, yeah, a little bit.
Ah, but you know what, Emmanuel? I was thinking, I know when, and you clarified it by saying you started training with me when you were 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I was hired to go and teach Kung Fu at, I think it was called American Karate School. Is that where I worked? But I don't remember how you started to be, you were my student. I remember I started working there, and I remember my first students were, I had a lot of gypsies.
Gypsy.
That
Yeah.
was my first introduction to gypsies. And I
Yes.
had adults and children, and actually they were awesome people. I loved them. They were so kind to me. But then, you know, I was hoping one day, I hope I start getting some adults. And
Hmm.
and then you came along. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, of course, I stopped playing soccer and handball, and I was coming from school. I passed just by the school, and I saw that big sign saying American Karate Kung Fu School. I said, "Wow, that sounds good." And I went inside. It was not the opening time, but I saw you inside in your black uniform doing your form, and I was just like, "Wow, that looks very, very uh, different from karate or judo, what I've known." And I went to the office, and I think he was the owner at that time, the Paul Vinke, whoever was there. He said, "No, you look like more like a karate person. Kung Fu is not really for you, but our karate is similar to the Kung Fu. We were black and everything." So I had no idea. So he talked me into start the karate group. So you had the Kung Fu class and the karate. And I started with him. And then it was October. And in December, I went on vacation. I came back and the karate group was gone. So you took over the karate group, and then when I started with you, yes.
Yeah, it no longer was a karate school. It became a Kung Fu
Kung
school.
Fu school.
But
Yes.
I mean, I was so happy that I had you, and it must have been difficult for you to make the switch, because in Germany it's the father country, you know, and men like to train with men. They don't want a woman teaching them. So here I am, a woman, and you know, how did you make that switch, and what made you think I'll try training with a woman? Because Al wasn't there; he was working for another
No,
school. It was
it
only
was
me.
just you. Like when I first saw you, it was the first time that I saw Kung Fu, and the way you moved, the elegance and the movement and the kicking. So it was there. I was just like, this is what I want to learn, but I didn't get to start with you. So, but I didn't have much experience in karate, so I didn't know. I
Yeah.
just knew it was you, and I saw you moving and kicking around, jumping around. And then when I came back and you took over the karate, and I was so lucky. And then I met Mark, and we started getting closer. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I was so excited, to have you. And I immediately, when I started teaching you, I knew you had natural ability. I knew you were a natural athlete, and you were a pleasure, such a pleasure to teach. And so, when you came into the school, was Mark and Craig already there, or they weren't there yet?
No, they weren't,
They
well,
hadn't started.
yeah, they hadn't started, like, they, they 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 probably weren't on the transition of getting used to Germany. So you were the only one that I saw
It was
first.
just me. Yeah,
It was just you in the school.
yeah.
Because
Well,
the door was open and I walked in, but actually it was not the opening time. So when I walked in, it was just
yeah.
you in the dojo training. And that's what impressed me. So I'm proud. And till this day, when people ask me, I say, I was trained by a woman. especially,
Well, she's not a
especially,
woman, she's a drill sergeant.
yeah, you could say so. But especially the southern culture of Europe, they have a problem with women.
Yeah,
Woman is just seconded till this day. It's
yes,
just
I
like,
know.
yeah. So when
I
when I lose them
experienced
up,
a
I said,
lot.
look at me. I was trained
Yeah,
by a woman, and I'm proud. So so
I
it,
know. I've got horror stories about my experiences, but I survived. They weren't going to get rid of me.
yes.
But Emmanuel, when as I said, I had a lot of young kids in grammar school, middle school type kids. But when you really started, were there any adults that you were training with? I don't remember too
At
long ago.
first, it was like when you started, it was just like mostly youngsters.
Yeah,
Of course, you had a few adults, but the school was just like Mark, Craig, me, and a lot of youngsters. And then you had this adults class, but it was only a few. Later, when Sifu moved in, then
yeah.
they
I had to
started
prove
more.
myself. I think
Yeah,
I remember one time. I may totally be wrong, but I think I remember. I wondered, how am I going to get students? How am I going to get adults? And so I think I did it something, hold me in any hold you want or whatever you want. If I can't get out of it, then you don't deserve to learn with me. And I
yeah.
remember the person that almost I saw stars with. I thought this one's going to get me. My business is closing down. Hubert,
Ooh,
Hubert, he's big.
I know.
Hubert, he gave me this German, whatever he did to me, but I was up off the ground. I knew I was going. I really thought I was going. And the only thing I remember, Al used to always tell me, where are your hands? Where are your hands? I saw my hands were loose. I grabbed around and grabbed his private region, took it in my hand and twisted it and pulled it as hard as I could. And he dropped me.
Yeah.
So was the beginning of my student Hubert.
Ooh.
But I know when I started training you, I probably started you really hard a lot in fitness because I'm a fitness freak. I wanted to make sure you were in the best shape you could be in before you went into the martial arts section. Did I do that with you?
Yes, you drilled us. You drilled us. You said fitness comes first, and then you learn the techniques. So that's how we started.
Yeah, fit, and
So
I'm still that way. I
yeah,
think you're a better martial artist. A lot of people say we're going to get fit with the art, but I like to spend a little time getting fit before you get into the art. And so
yes,
I did
it's
that.
much better.
Now, I knew you had, like I say, natural talent, and uh, you came in, you start learning your material, basic this, basic that. Pretty soon we started having a class, and as time went along, this we trained fighting and for tournaments. You had never been to a tournament before in the
No,
martial art world? You didn't even know
that
what
was
it was
that
all
was
about.
that was the
So
first time I started with martial arts. Yes,
so the first time you really did any contact, and whether it was out on the street, was the fighting that we were doing in school, right?
it was school. Yes, that was the first contact to martial arts and tournaments. It was with you.
Now, when we started doing the fighting, Mark was there now. Mark is
Yes,
there, and we have students.
yes.
Yes, our
It
classes
was
are building.
the classes were building, and I became friend with Mark. We used to be afraid to go in new class. Mark and me.
you probably never expected a woman to train you such as I trained you, because I'm an aggressive trainer. I don't know any other way. So coming
I know.
from a different school and now you're in my school, what were your thoughts about this crazy woman who was so aggressive and wouldn't settle for anything but better, better, better? What did you think of our training?
I didn't think too much of it because you were training me and Mark. So you cannot be that mean to me and not be mean to your son, you know? So I said, okay, it must be something. So you treated Mark the same way. Otherwise, I would think, okay, she's treating me that bad because she wants me to quit. And her son, she's just being sweet and everything. But you were mean to me and Mark. But then after training, you were the sweetest person. So it was just like, we knew it was something good about it. We didn't know that we're going to gain that much success for being pushed so hard as you did us.
Okay, when I saw that you were such an amazing fighter, I thought, okay, at the beginning, I wanted you to focus more on fighting. Now I know, okay, it's time to do more than one thing. You got to learn forms and you have to enter them in competition. At least you have to go into competition once to get over that fear of doing a form, standing there. So when I started training you in form, what did you think about all those fancy little moves?
At first, it was just like I was pushed into it. I was more into fighting, but said, okay, she wants me to do it, I'll do it. You know, I mean, fighting was fun, but forms was just like hard working. And because of the hard working and doing forms, the way you pushed us, the improvement of the fighting just went off the hook. You see?
Forms gave you a much better foundation even for your fighting. But when I started teaching you form, I really did stress the stances. I know everybody always says, oh, Malay only knows the horse stance. Well, the horse stance is the best stance. It builds your foundation, your legs, your core, everything about you gets stronger when you're able to do the horse stance. Now, I remember I said, there are no kung fu boots for this class. You're going to wear combat boots when you do your form. Do you remember wearing those combat boots so that your legs and your jumps, everything would be stronger, higher? You guys thought I was crazy, but I had a method to my madness. You guys never lost. You looked amazing. Your stretch became better. We traveled all over. People, I mean, you were the team. We were the school to beat. And that school was run by a little woman, because up until this time, Al hadn't started working for us. He was working for our competition. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, because the school wasn't, it was my school. And eventually I always thought it was so cool because I got Al to quit the other job and I hired to come over to our school. And then it became Al and Malia's school. And the two of us joining forces together, man, we did an amazing things with all of the students. We not only had, we had children, we had amazing women that competed. In fact, I just posted a picture the other day of Anna Boom, Maya, Beata, Regina. We remember in the school we had that boxing ring. And I always laughing because I can remember as if it just happened yesterday. Regina was down there rubbing her thigh, her shin, because she had a huge egg on it from a roundhouse kick, and she kicked another leg. And oh, but you know, they never complained. They always just kept coming back, training harder. And they were so lucky as you, because you guys got to travel not only in Germany, but out of Germany. Now, after you, now mind you, now Emmanuel has won everything, a tournament rise in form and fighting. And then he went to the next level. He became involved in the demonstration team. He started doing demos to represent the school. What? What are you doing there? Mark!
Hey, Mom.
Emmanuel!
Hello,
look who's there!
Hello, my dear.
How did you know to come out and interrupt our important conversation.
Well, Emmanuel, he never calls me. You know, I call him every day. I'm leaving messages. I write emails. He never gets back to me. You tell him there's an interview. Boom. Yes, he's available.
Oh. Emmanuel, isn't this awesome? Look what? I can't believe this. You know what? You and Craig always have to know my every move, but
Yes.
I never know your moves. This is really a pleasant. Yeah, I'm in shock. You're too busy.
Surprise.
You're too busy in
Surprise.
life to even text, and here you are. Yeah. Emmanuel, talk to Emmanuel, not me.
Duru, wie geht es dir, Duru?
There's your buddy.
Ich freue mich so, weil
Aus.
ich jetzt,
Diese Bart sieht ganz gut aus, Duru. Nee, du, der sieht gut
ja,
aus.
du siehst aber auch gut aus. Du siehst auch gut aus. Bist du in Los Angeles oder in Hawaii?
Los Angeles, Duru, im Moment, weißt du, Duru, du weißt, wie Schauspielerin ist, Duru. Ich habe morgen eine ganz große Vorstellung mit einem von deinen Lieblings-Duru, Jennifer Lopez. Hallo.
Oh, hallo.
aber ganz viele Seiten muss ich lernen. Du weißt, wie das ist, Duru. Gestern
Ja,
haben sie mich angerufen und meinen, ja, du hast morgen eine Vorstellung. Oh ja, danke schön. Und wie viele Seiten? Dunkel. Du weißt, wie das ist, Duru. Also,
ja, ich weiß.
sobald es
Duru.
fertig ist, muss ich wieder lernen. Danke, Duru. Aber über das Wochenende sprechen wir wieder.
Auf jeden Fall, Duru.
Okay, Duru.
You know
Wir
what?
können sie
I'm
schon
going to
machen.
interrupt you too, because Mark, you happen to come in
Yes.
and interrupt us at a most
You're
perfect
welcome.
time.
You're welcome.
Be quiet. I was just about to ask Emmanuel about the Doo-Doo Club, because Emmanuel and I, oh yeah, the Doo-Doo Club. Look at the look on his face. My question to Emmanuel was, who really put the Doo-Doo Club together? Who was the president of the club?
Oh, Mr. Brown Doodoo right here. This guy right
It was
here.
you.
He's a doodoo.
Oh.
Doodoo.
Okay, for those of you that don't know about the Doo-Doo Club, I'm going to quickly give you a rundown. It was a group of my students, all male students, and you know,
Because
they had to have
girls are too
something.
smart for us. They never want to be a doodoo.
They had to have something for them, you know, make them strong and proud and like they were in the university. And so they formed this Doo-Doo Club. Now, I never really knew what went on behind closed doors. The only thing I ever heard is the last time I was in Germany and I talked to Yamil, Yamil said, Malia, did Mark ever tell you what he and Emmanuel made me do for initiation? And I said, initiation? I didn't even know that you had to go through initiation.
Mom, Emmanuel and I, we feel like we gave him the opportunity. We didn't make him. We kind of said, you can do this if you want, you know.
They had
It's
the
a special
choice.
person to want to do it, Yamil.
But you know what? This Doo-Doo Club kept a really strong bond of about, was there 8 of them? How many were in the Doo-Doo Club?
It was about 10. 10, no?
About that?
Yeah, because only 10 crazy enough people would want to do that, you know.
See, the thing
I
is,
mean, they were such a tight bond. They fought tournaments together. They did whatever they did. Why did you name it the Doo-Doo Club?
Duru, darf ich sprechen, Duru?
ja, du das.
Okay, so Mom, as you know, so Dad, going back in the history, we're in Hamburg, Germany. Dad is teaching at his school at Gilbertstrasse, and I know that you've told your fans about some of the stories before, but you know, they loved you as a martial artist, but at that time it was very sexist, and they didn't want to have this beautiful Kung Fu female teacher. So what do? Of course, you say, I'm going to have my own school. And you go to the Reeperbahn, San Pauli, the red light district, and you open a Kung Fu school there. And of course, one of your first students is this young man right here. Of course he is. He's like, hey, red light district.
Oh my
Kung
God.
Fu teacher. I'm gonna learn here. He could have gone anywhere, but he found your school, Mom. So, of course, when I start taking classes at your school with you, one of the first guys I meet is Duru. And I remember it was amazing because I think he was wearing a tank top or something or a yellow t-shirt, and it was very tight. And I'm thinking, okay, those muscles are gonna rip the t-shirt. and he had these karate pants, these white karate pants that looked like they were for me. I'm much smaller than Emmanuel. And I'm thinking, why is he wearing short pants? They were all the way up his leg, right? These karate pants, right?
So, I couldn't afford.
Oh my Lord.
It was really cute though. But you know, just like now, what I loved was his big smile. And I remember you introduced us and then you said, you guys warm up or do something. Because it was just the two of us that day. And so we were stretching and he went to go down and do some stretch. And what I loved was one, we were both brownies. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know, he told me he's from West Africa, an island, and I, you know, Cape Verde, I'm from Hawaii. So it was like, we had that in common. And then we were both, you know, brown kids. And what really bonded for me was like when he went to go do a stretch and it was like, kind of like this, he's standing up, and he went like this far and it was like, oh, and he tore his pants. And I go, wow, that's awesome. We're both island guys, we're both brown, and we are both naturally not flexible. Yes, yes. Of course, over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years, you, Mom, made us flexible. Tears in the eyes. So now we're flexible. But to the Doodoo Club, so Emmanuel and I become friends, and then 6 months later or a year later, summer break, you're sending me Craig and I, Craig to California, and you sent me to Hawaii, visit family and everything. And Emmanuel could go with us. He went with me. Yes. And we're in this bay by Hanauma Bay, or right around Hanauma Bay. In the lava, there are all these holes that funnel out to the water. And Mom, I think you've been there before. You know, it's called the toilet bowl. Right? So the water, when the water comes in, it hits the lava, goes under these natural pipes, and then opens up in these big holes. And the biggest one they call the toilet bowl. So when the water comes in, it's like a water up, and then when the tide goes out, the water goes out like you flush the toilet. And Emmanuel and I were in the toilet bowl together, and it was awesome. We'd been there for a couple of weeks, and we're both really brown. And I said to him, I don't know if it was in English or Deutsch, you know, he speaks 7 languages. So I don't know if it's English or Deutsch, but I said, you know, Doodoo, I said, you are so brown. We are in the toilet bowl. You look like a doodoo. And he looked at me and he starts laughing. He goes, you look like a doodoo. You're more brown. I said, you're more brown. You're a doodoo. And he said, you're a doodoo. And then that stuck because every day we were there,
and so
we got more brown. So we became like real doodoos. And we laughed and we just called each other that for fun. So then we come back to Germany and we're still calling each other doodoo, you know? And then our German friends, they don't know that doodoo, you know, do in German means you. So they just think we're saying you. So, but they don't know that doodoo in English is caca. You know,
oh my gosh.
You know, and they're like, hey, you guys call each other doodoo. Could we be doodoos too? And we're like, sure.